need much of an introduction. I think everyone knows the next presenter, but I'm really looking forward to this presentation. But Mr. Stephen Ndede has a vast history with regards to mining. He's currently the General Manager at Perseus and has been since 1988, involved in the management inputs, providing technical support and project evaluation of both distressed and high-risk mining projects around West Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that this is a good forum, and it tells us that we in the mining industry, although we've got so many means of communicating, we still don't use that avenue properly. And I will encourage each and every one of us to be participating in most of the technical issues in the industry, especially the technical committee and for like this. We should be participating in fora like this so that we can share great knowledge and improve upon our technical skills. Now, come back to my topic, facilitating local participation in the mining industry. I would probably have wanted to take up the Perseus Mining Ghana Limited experience, because what I'm going to talk about is more general than Perseus per se, but obviously I'll use examples from Perseus, so that's where it makes it the Perseus mining experience. Most of the mining companies basically work around the same formula, and I will take another cue from what presentation of the CEO of the chamber, where when the question was put, companies, mining companies paying taxes, the media and NGOs in particular said zero. And it is a bit unfortunate. And I think under these conditions, it's better that we take our time and explain things like this. A company may not be, I intentionally asked him to explain. Once again, due to time, do not go into it. A company may not be paying direct tax. But even before he gets even $1 into his pocket, the government has taken 5% of that dollar, irrespective of whether he made profit or not. And it depends on your royalty range. I'm just using 5% for the default. And by that time, there are other taxes and expenditure that he has made. So the government has actually earned something. Even before the month ends, the employee has taken his salary and the government has taken his pay. Okay, so sometimes we look at just what we are seeing as corporators, and that's why how can you take 1.6 out of 1? That would be the simplest arithmetic. It doesn't work that way. The government and then the social sector takes more. And I'll just go in through this local participation, where I'm not going to put dollars to it, but if you think about it, you see how the industry is supporting the country. What is local participation? It is in various facets, but I will focus on only two. Basically on opportunities for employment and the procurement of local goods and services. And I'm quoting from the said 2015, for which our CEO, CEO of the chamber who just left, was a speaker. And then when we say local, we've got two types of local. Local, and local national. Let me put it that way. The community in which you are working is your local, as I'll put it. And then Accra is the local. Because you are not in the local. You are national. So I'm saying local in terms of district and catchment community level, and then local in terms of national level. And participation, I mean employment opportunities to supply goods and services, what everyone wants to call local content. But I believe this is also local content. Technology and skills transfer. And my immediate colleague who just spoke has actually demonstrated a major skill transfer that the industry is giving. And as I indicated, we are also doing similar for tech engineers. So sometimes you don't look at the fiscal value, we look at what is being transferred. Legal and institutional framework of local participation. The Mining and Mineral Act has got a general framework and asking us for local content. Holders of mineral rights have high minimum proportion of local staff in various employment categories. Existing land holders to present for approval program for the recruitment, training of Ghanaians. And then we should have plans for expatriates and how we are going to win off those expatriates and give their jobs to Ghanaians. And it gives us the encouragement that we should buy from the local market. The business case for PMGL, and as I said, is general for most mining companies. We've got a responsibility for the state and also other stakeholders for this local content. The simplest one is to satisfy regulatory compliance. But even if there's no regulation, local content makes business sense. So for us at PMGL, and I know most mining companies will not just go out and source labor or materials from outside unless it becomes necessary for these basic reasons. The CEO mentioned that you can have the best asset, but if you don't have the social license to operate, you don't have an asset. Accommodation and transport component of local workforce, at the community level, it's not a big issue for the company. If you've got a mine in a remote area and you go and bring somebody, excuse me to say, from the city, you look at the structure of the house and say, I won't go into this structure. But the local person that you employ, that's where he came from. He's got a job. He goes back and sleeps in the same house. And when he gets money, he'll build a bigger one anyway. But transportation and accommodation is not a big issue for you. So you don't have that headache. And so why do you go and employ somebody from elsewhere when people are running? So local is our priority before we go to national. And obviously before we go to international level. Now we have got a lot of R&R. That was a bit foreign, but now it's come to stay. Rotation cycles. If you employ most of your people from the locality, you don't have a problem with giving people extended time. Most of it they used to travel on the bad roads. So you give the man a rest, and he travels all the period from the village to Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and then drives back a day or two after. He comes tired. Now, if you employ from your locality or the district level, you've got people who are healthy in terms of having more time to rest. And obviously, when you're talking about expatriate staff, your rotation is easier to manage because an expatriate staff, obviously, he has to go up and down to his country. Procurement at local level reduces delivery times and storage and air freight costs. So obviously, if you buy in country or even at your locality, there are obvious savings. Procurement for a made-in-Ghana product will, in addition to above, provide a multiplier effect in value creation, employment generation, etc. So, if you went and bought any item from offshore, the person who produces it, you don't even know him or her. But if he's not here, you know the person, and he supports the family, he gives employment. The biggest problems that we have is that every person in the community wants a job. If you could set up another industry or support another industry in the country or in your district, that would be a plus. So really, when we talk about local content, we do not want to limit ourselves to compliance. We want to look at the business case for it. When we talk about local employment, we are working in 5 catchment communities. Strange enough, these 5 communities are in 2 regions, central region and west region. So obviously you have 2 districts, and we have 2 paramount chiefs. But you have to manage it. Our first priority is employment for the 5 catchment communities, for the obvious reasons that I have already enumerated. So if I want somebody, and I can get it from those 5 catchment communities, you come from elsewhere, I don't know whether it's positive or negative discrimination, who discriminate against you. So we give local jobs for the locals, and even for our national service and internship programs. If you want an electrical engineer, and there's one from the community, and there's one coming from outside the community, we'll give priority to the one from the community. So our local content, sometimes some people come for training and they are a bit frustrated. It's because of the local content sort of thing. And you may be wondering why that. But when we talk about skills transfer, it's not only the big issues. But I don't have the stats, so I don't want to talk about it. But it will be surprising if there is nobody from our local community who has learned how to operate a dump truck, and now he's working as an expatriate elsewhere. I think there are so many examples, but we don't have the stats. So that is skill transfer. And so when we are talking about local content, we start right from the basic. The second priority is to engage from the 2 districts, and obviously go to national. And our expatriate usage is very low, and we are not using the full expatriate quota. Once again, we've got a regulation that says this is your expatriate quota, which says for the business case, we are far below, and I can count the number of expatriates working at IDCAN at my fingertips. Statistically, we've got 45% of our employees come from the catchment communities. And that is a figure that is on record. But sometimes you want to go through it. You said this man come from the catchment community. Unfortunately, some of them, when they get their money, they decide to relocate to the cities. And that's an unfortunate thing. That was not the intention. But they were actually employed as a, not to, from the locality. And it's on record. So every unskilled labor, as much as practicable, comes from the locality. And then we train them to run the plant, to run the other equipment. And as I said, once they get those skills, they are not just for us, they've got the opportunity to go to the other companies, and also you can go outside the country. As I said, less than 3% of the staff is expatriate. And then most senior management positions are occupied by Ghanaians. Obviously, you need a blend of culture and technology and skill. So obviously, you need a bit of blend. And so you have some expatriates in the management staff, but most of us are Ghanaians. Procurement. By law, we have to have a 5-year plan according to the law. But as I've indicated, the business case is that we should do a bit more. I cannot list, for those who are conversant with the list, it talks about cables, lime, cement, steel balls, office supplies, etc. But the big ticket items like lime and steel balls, we are sourcing them from country. And over and about the 5-year plan, we are using supplies. This is not in the 5-year plan, but we are using supply within catchment community for basic supplies. If I want tea item, why do I go outside the community to get somebody to come and buy tea item from Accra and give it to me? You better help somebody in the community
who is business minded to learn how to supply. And so most of our business supplies, very, very basic ones, who does not need a bit of sophistication, are supplied by the very local businessmen. The one man or one woman managing a kiosk will help him or her to be a wholesaler, and then we support them. So, and we use local contractors for all civil works, including catchment community contractors and artisans for mine-sponsored projects in the community. So if you're doing civil works, we've got a team of local contractors who do those jobs. And then if you've got projects that are supported by the Edikan Fund, our fund for development, we started using local but external from the community at the beginning. But with time, as we coach them and train them, now our projects are being done by contractors from the catchment community. Just to emphasize once again that the man knew how to build a house, but he didn't know how to build a house to the standard that you require. But with the transfer of skills, that man now can compete with the external meaning somewhere else in Ghana, how to do it to the standard. We are using Ghanaian registered companies for haulage, for transport. Services. We are required to use services of multinational companies, but should give priority to locally registered companies as much as practical. So we are supporting local mining contractors to provide contract mining services who are competing favorably with multinational contract mining companies. We've got a multinational mining company. I don't want to be mentioning names, but you know what is happening in Perseus, who is registered in Ghana, who is doing about 60% to 65% of the mining. And then we brought in a local 100% indigenous owned company who is operating 777s and similar size of commercial equipment to also do the mining. So once again, that is a typical local content, because quite often everybody will say, the mining companies are bringing external people. We are saying we are coaching a local partner. 100% Metallurgy is carried out by Ghanaian contractors. 100% of explosive sourced from Ghanaian registered company. Our catering service, we're originally working with a multinational who was registered in Ghana. Now we've gone for 100% indigenous catering service. And I think the guys are enjoying it very well. They asked the question, why did you bring in an expatriate to cook fufu for us? Now we've got a Ghanaian cooking fufu for us. And that is a local content. It's supplying our fuel, also 100%. Basin is provided by catchment communities. Sometimes I want to emphasize that. Entrepreneur. It's only the long haul buses that we use somebody outside the catchment community. All in the name of local content. Skill transfer. We've got a elaborate training program with the intention to transfer skill to plant operators and technicians. I've mentioned that. We've supported catchment community entrepreneurs to render services in environmental reclamation, construction of building, outsourcing of mineral lining and some other plant maintenance equipment. We support all Chamber of Mines initiatives to support local industries to manufacture goods which are not normally produced in Ghana. Steel balls, we support steel balls, and any industry who is venturing into it, we are ready to try and support them, rather than importing it. Activated carbon, we are part of the process, and currently the chamber is working with somebody to manufacture activated carbon. How do we have coconut shells and palm kernel shells in Ghana, and we import activated carbon? We are supporting the chamber, and we believe in the near future we'll be buying activated carbon made in Ghana. The challenges. although we are sourcing from Ghana, it's a bit of shame that some of the items are actually manufactured elsewhere, and then the local businessman goes to buy them. We are not realizing the major benefit as it should be, and it's all up to us as a country to support local business. And the activated carbon and the steel ball that I mentioned earlier is one area to overcome this challenge. The insurance sector, sometimes they are picking the crumbs of the insurance rather than going for the full-time insurance issues because of the volume of money involved. And it's something that it's also a challenge. Once the facilities are available, the mining industry and the in particular will basically use those services. Sometimes the local entrepreneurs price themselves out of competition. I can get steel balls all over the world. The fact that I'm interested in you doesn't mean that you should give it to me at a price that will not be sustainable. And that is a challenge. And then sometimes there are quality control issues, but that one we all have to work together to get it. So in conclusion, we've not achieved all the intended targets, but we are working towards it through our local employment strategy, the procurement, and then the participation of supply of services. And some of the benefits is that, as I mentioned, less accommodation requirement for us. If you employ the people and then you train them, you take their mind off illegal mining. Better productivity for employees who have more rest during breaks as they need not travel far. Local purchases reduces good delivery times. And then it reduces free charges, especially air freight. You want something, if your supply is offshore and for some reason you have run off it, you either air freight it or you carry more stock. Sorry, at the beginning I should have introduced my co-presenter, Mr. James Anchi. So as the questions come up, he may be supporting me to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ndede is the General Manager of Perseus and Accra at Ayamfori.
I am also from the Petroleum Commission. You made mention of the fact that you give preference to locals in terms of providing services in the industry. I want to find out how you are encouraging the locals to win some of the contracts. I take a cue from the oil industry. I mean, the challenge that we're facing, one is the capacity of the locals, and then also the cost, like in terms of local participation. So what the LI try to do is that if maybe local companies are participating in the contract, and then the contract sum, I mean, in terms of the commercial evaluation, if the cost of the local is 10%, at least 10% higher than the foreign company, and they all have the technical capability, but then if the cost differential is at least less than 10%, the contract should be given to the local companies so that they can build their capacity. I don't know whether you are considering that, or if not, maybe something should be done to encourage the locals to increase their participation in terms of services.
Yeah, my name is Johnson Ghana. Concerning the local participation, I didn't hear you see anything about student internship. And I think this is a very critical area that you must consider. Because getting the students over there, spending some time over there, particularly in exploration, would be a big benefit to them.
Compare that somebody, in terms of local content, I don't know how far the Chamber of Mines and then the inspectors and whatever regulatory body, the target themselves for us. But if you say that somebody should pound fufu and then give it to the workers, and then from the international level you are buying a jumbo or a drill rig, you just compare the percentages. You are buying tea from the local shop, but you are importing whatever from outside. So I want to know that in terms of dollar terms, are we doing better in terms of the general mining environment? Are we doing better in terms of local content, or maybe though we are doing something, but the percentage is very low, so that there will be a need to strategize to push ourselves to the next level. And the next one is that in terms of the fact that you say your expat percentage is low, you've not even reached the quota. But I think that sometimes we deceive ourselves. The expatriates may not be there, though there are multinational companies in most of our areas. The amount of visit that they make in a year, if you quantify it, is more than maybe if they were staying there. So we need to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Internship is very important and dear to our heart. I'll start from the bottom. Yes, we give internship. I think I'm addressing the two questions on internship. We give internship opportunity to students from all disciplines, engineering, the sciences, and even the humanities for social development. And I don't have the numbers offhand, but there are a lot of students from all the universities and other training facilities in the country outside as I speak now. My focus was that if there are two engineers from UMAT pop at my gate and say they want internship, note that resources are limited for any condition, and one comes from Ayamfure and one comes from Winneba, I will give the priority to the one at Ayamfure. I think that's the point that we made. That doesn't mean that we don't give to other people. If you come there now, there are people from all over the country who are there. But what I'm saying is that we give priority to those guys. Yeah, I think Edwin.
Towards the local communities. Now, what also happens is that as part of the planning processes, the departments indicate the skill sets that they are looking for. So if we are looking for mining engineers, and we say we need 2 mining engineers, it happens that there are 3 mining engineers, and then 2 are coming from the community. The priority will be given to the community. So that is what he was trying to explain. So we do take a lot of people on internship and also on national service, but there are people who are doing their services, but they don't come from the communities. If we are looking for accountants and those who are coming on internship, we don't have anybody from the community, but there are people coming from Cape Coast or elsewhere. They will be given the opportunity. Thank you.
The other one was on capacity building for local content. I believe, and it goes to the first question that talks about percent of purchase. Local content and capacity building is a joint effort. I think I made mention of it. And due to time constraint, I took only 2. And I will emphasize on activated carbon. If you look at mining companies processing gold using activated carbon in the CIA plants in Ghana, it's a lot. And that is where industry, and in actual fact, the Chamber of Mines and then the Chamber of Commerce work together to support any businessman to go into that. And the last technical committee meeting, we set up a committee to trial somebody who has got samples. So we'll support them in that way. If it's not produced in country, it's a difficult issue. And that's what one of the things I said was a challenge. So we appreciate that challenge, but we cannot do it alone. And therefore, we start with the ones that the capacity is there. Now, with building their capacity, and then the percent of that we allow. I'll let James, my co-presenter, answer that question.
Things is that we are strictly guided by the LI 2173, and we have 19 products we must buy in country, and we also justify this by submitting semi-annual and annual reports to that effect. Now, so for instance, if you take catering services, you've been given a limitation. Now, so to say, you've got to purchase up to X amount of items in country, and you've got to submit reports to justify that. And this is also auditable. Thank you.
Just want to commend the chairman for that great presentation, and also the whole Perseus team, who I think do a good job here. I guess just two things that popped up there. Someone was talking about capacity building, and I think again, you know, evidence of looking for local goods, but when they're not there, really trying to work on the transfer of skills and technology. And again, I go back to the previous presentation about practical examples of that. And for reasons to do that, I think it was plainly made, it's good business sense, it's economic sense, and that irrespective of regulations, people will follow them, but good business sense just makes it, as we said, it's got to be economically feasible. I think the other thing too, someone talked about, going back to one of the first questions about negative perceptions, the multiplier effect of using local communities, and also the spillovers. Often I don't think, and this is something that's happened in Australia, the story's not told well about how many lawyers, how many financiers, dry cleaners, restaurants really piggyback off the mining industry and the investment that goes in there. Air logistics, air companies, etc. When you add all that together, it's a sizable figure. Often people just look at mining investment, or mining production. They don't look at all these other derivatives that really show how big and how important the industry is to the economy.